sharing. Our next speaker is Dr. Suman Kollipara, and he is the co-founder of a nonprofit Peace Free Innovation Society Center for Wellness and Oneness that conducts workshops all around the world for grassroots transformation of wellness using tools of ancient wisdom and modern science. He is very well received by a wide range of audience, including WHO, United Nations, public and private sector organizations, inpatients at hospitals, addiction centers, libraries, schools, firefighters, educational and cultural conferences. And today he will be speaking to us about wellness from within, healing model for non-communicable diseases and mental illness. Suman, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much for the warm introduction, Dr. Reza. Good to see you again after a long time. Thank you very much, CINI, Dr. Garg, and the board of directors for organizing this event. I was very fortunate to be in the last event in person, but I'm glad to see you all again virtually here. A big shout out to all the healthcare workers and the frontline workers who have been putting their lives at risk to keep us safe, and we are able to do this conference only because of them. So heartfelt gratitude and salutations to all the healthcare frontline workers who have been working relentlessly in this pandemic. And now we know that the vaccine is here, and we are almost seeing the light at the end of the tunnel. Very soon we are going to be free birds. This pandemic is probably going to be over, but there is an echo pandemic is making for the past year and a half, and it has also been a silent epidemic for many decades. And this silent epidemic is non-communicable diseases. This is not transmitted by a virus, but the root cause is in the vices of the mind and the lifestyles and the behaviors. And as you probably know, non-communicable diseases are diabetes, hypertension, cancer, mental illness like anxiety, depression, autoimmune illnesses like Crohn's, colitis, rheumatoid arthritis, and many more. And in fact, COVID has till now taken about 3.85 million lives. That's latest data as of today in the last year and a half, and that's 3.85 million. But NCDs take 41 million lives every year. So you can understand the gravity of the situation. Out of every 10 deaths, 7 deaths are caused by non-communicable diseases. And 80% of the deaths in the world are related to NCDs, and most of them are premature. And unfortunately, we don't come into this world with these NCDs. We are born amazingly. In fact, if you look at the human body, the way we start our life as a single cell organism called zygote, which multiplies into trillions of cells in a matter of few weeks and creates these differentiated cells, differentiated organs, working together harmoniously, perfect synchrony, and comes into this world. And all that we have to do to maintain this body is eat well, sleep well, and work well. We don't really need to do much, and no intervention needed at all, except for these 3 things. But unfortunately, because of our chaotic lifestyles, we are in a rat race where we are creating constant stress, anxiety, and fear, leading to chronic illnesses, most of these like diabetes, hypertension, arthritis, and many more. And what we do to cure those illnesses, we go to a doctor. Obviously, there is a system that is built, and they give a pill that fixes the symptoms. We go back to doing whatever we were doing, all our false attitudes, bad attitudes, faulty lifestyles, and we depend on that pill, never going to the source. So ancient sages for many, many thousands of years have actually worked to get to the source of our life, our existence, of this body, of this universe. And they've spent enormous amount of time and found this time-tested framework called yoga. And the yoga model is truly a self-empowering model. And these ancient sages have transmitted this knowledge and wisdom. And truly, these ancient sages were actually scientists who were working on the individual self, because at the end of the day, this is the greatest miracle that we have in this world. And I was fortunate to meet one of such ancient sages right here in Vancouver. Her name is Sunita Amma. And she has brought into light an ancient healing system called Sookshma. Sookshma is a Sanskrit word which translates to micro. And what it really means is Sookshma takes us to our source, the source which is consciousness. In fact, yesterday, if you were there at the plenary session, Dr. Nagendra was actually taking us back to that state of consciousness, our true self, which is unchanging. All that we have been doing with the modern ways of healing and treatments is treating the changing. But unless we go to the changeless, which is our pure consciousness, we wouldn't be able to fix the problem. So with the Sookshma program, we have been doing two things really. One is awakening that inner conscience, which is the inner voice that we all have, but unfortunately in ignorance for all these years, and we've never been able to awaken that, because of which we make all these bad choices in life and living with vices of anger, jealousy, greed, false ego, and living in this delusionary world. And once you awaken that inner conscience, then we become conscious about this precious resource, conscious about the world around, and we start to make those conscious decisions in that awareness, which ultimately leads us to the consciousness, which is the source of our energy, source of this life force. And I have been fortunate to meet her 15 years back and have seen phenomenal shifts in all these NCDs. We are talking about simple to complex illnesses like diabetes, hypertension, arthritis, rheumatoid arthritis, Crohn's, colitis. And with that passion, I have co-founded a nonprofit 15 years back called Peace Tree Innovation Society. And we have developed a model called Wellness from Within, a conscience and consciousness-based model, where we go with a three-step vision of educate, experience, and empower, basically democratizing the knowledge of science and medicine and bringing the ancient wisdom and integrating both of those to help a layman, a common man, help understand how they can take charge of their own wellness. And then not only leave at education part, but give them the experience of it so that they can really experience that inner voice, that inner conscience, and feel self-empowered, and give them tools of ancient wisdom like Sookshma meditation, which actually works in cleansing that subconscious. The core essence of our program is to clean that subconscious patterns that have accumulated so that we can reveal that inner conscience, which helps us make conscious decisions. And our work has impacted libraries, schools, prisons, hospitals across the globe. And we continue to take this work to all the areas in the world. And we also look forward to see that we go back to people. Wellness goes back to the hands of the people so that we can re-innovate ourselves and create wellness from within. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Suman. You know that I'm a fan of your work and your nonprofit organization. Can you tell us, so you've had this nonprofit now for about 15 years, and what changes have you seen? Because I mean, we're looking at it of integrative medicine and how do we move this forward, and even, what positive impacts might COVID have had on being able to start to move this thinking forward. Anything that you can share with us about your journey over the past 15 years?
Absolutely. So what we have done is, give me 1 second, I had my timer on. So, so basically we have not done any research, obviously, but we have done lots of what we call qualitative studies, qualitative surveys. And a lot of these surveys, we have taken a group of people, and we have even touched like workspaces, hospitals, inpatient psychiatric units, even prisons for that matter, and schools. And all these surveys have really shown us, we would do like an 8-session program, and then before and after you would see dramatic shifts in their behaviors, in their attitudes, and how they have started to take charge of their lives. And on an individual basis, we have treated many cases of all these simple to complex illnesses, people who have come with severe mental illness, Crohn's and colitis and so on. And that is one area. And then we also touched a very important area, the youth, which actually is going through a severe crisis right now of mental illness. And we have rolled out lots of programs for the youth empowerment. Again, phenomenal results in that as well. And when we took our work, obviously, to the World Health Organization, they also embrace this because they feel like this is a sustainable wellness model. At the end of the day, you're empowering the individual. No matter how much we build outside, you can't really do much about it. In fact, it goes back to what Dr. Jonas Salk says, who discovered the polio vaccine. He says evolution favors survival of the wisest. And I think COVID has really taught us a very interesting lesson that, let's shift from the survival of the fittest to survival of the wisest. And even during the COVID, we have seen people have been practicing these modalities of, meditation and breathing have been totally resistant to COVID infection. And even people, if they had any COVID, they were able to bounce back very quickly into the normal life, not succumbing to severe illness.
Yeah, thank you. We have another question here. You talked a little bit about reaching out to the youth, and one of the, I guess one of the concerns or the awareness is the potential impact of COVID in the mental health of our school-aged children. Do you see this as something that potentially could be brought into the school system? And what might be the barriers or the challenges in being able to do that?
Absolutely. In fact, some of the work that we have done in the past 15 years, schools have been one of the major areas of our work. We have worked with Burnaby School District, Surrey School District. These are the two school districts locally here in Lower Mainland we worked with. Lots of schools invite us for these sessions, and they find, especially in the middle school, is where we are introducing these programs. And there's a lot of demand for these programs. And apart from the school system, like from our nonprofit, I'm going to quickly share my screen if possible, or I can probably do it to show the website. But if you can reach our website, peacetree.ca, you can find youth empowerment programs where youth actually start to share how they feel before and after. So yes, there is a lot of interest, and we have done lots of work in the school system, and we would be continuing to do that post-COVID and empower more youth in this program.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Are there any other questions out there for Suman, just before we move on? Perfect. Yeah, very, very great work that you're doing. And Suman actually came to my workplace once and did the session with our staff, and they really enjoyed it, doing some really great work there. Reza, I will pass it back to you.
Thank you, Suman. Always great to listen to your wonderful